In this video, I'm going to carefully attempt to show you how to replace the internal folding screen on the OnePlus Open. Now, this may be the first and last time that I try to do this repair. However, I am going to show you as best that I can. I've got some experience with these fold style phones as well as from the Samsung ones. And I've got some experience with these folding or flipping style phones from the Samsung and the Motorola ones. However, I've never done one of these OnePlus ones before, except for watching a Jerry Rig Everything teardown video where he absolutely obliterates everything inside it and outside of it. So I'm going to begin by placing it on the hot plate it's probably spent about 10 minutes on here, set at 85 degrees C. Now that I've done that, I'm going to add some isopropyl alcohol around all the edges of the display, on the outside display should I say, as well as this back cover, which is certainly more camera lens than back cover. And there's oddly a flash in this top left corner, which I've never seen on a phone like that before. However, I'm just going to make a note that the screen protector on the outside display is actually cracked already, so it probably will crack further when I remove this. I'm going to start off by removing this one, I think. Let's start off by removing this display. The reason that I do that, I'm going to take this off, then I'm going to take this off. If I take this off, then take this off, I'm going to be messing around with bare skin on them camera lenses, and I'm going to break them, or I'm going to smudge them, and it's going to make a mess. So let's do this side first. Admittedly, I don't know if it's warm enough yet. I'll put the suction cup on and see if we get any movement. I'm just going to very carefully lift up. I'll also introduce the Dorco blade to the very top and see if it moves at all. I feel like this is going to be stuck down hard, man. I feel like this video might be more of a commentary alongside me repairing it rather than the how-to video that we used to. But at the end of the day, we will achieve the same result. Yeah, it's definitely tricky to get this front display off. I knew this was going to be really tough, the adhesive there. As soon as I looked at it, I've had a look at the new part that we're going to install, and I can see how thin the actual area that this sticks to is, which gives me a good indication of how strong that glue is going to be. So when it's very thin, I find that the adhesive is really, really strong. But what I'm going to do, it's an OLED display. Alcohol ain't going to hurt it. And yeah, it's definitely lifting up. And I'm just going to let the alcohol work in as I'm lifting it slowly, because this will go. What I tend to find is that once you've sort of got a small bit lifted and let's say the seal or the adhesive compromised, then the rest of it follows suit. But this one is being stubborn, but it's definitely starting to go a little bit. Don't want to introduce this just yet. I feel like I'm going to break the glass. I think that'll probably wipe out all my profit if I break this screen. No, it's not that bad. Times aren't that hard, guys. But yeah, we're definitely seeing it start to lift a little bit. And I'll just note that I am pulling on this really quite hard to get it to lift up. But you probably can't even see it, but I am getting some reward, and I can feel how strong that adhesive is. See, I can get that pick under there now. So things are starting to move. And things are starting to happen. I'll try and make it a bit more exciting, but the truth is, I'm really going slowly here, just because, as always, I don't want to break it. This is someone else's phone, man. But yeah, definitely seeing it come apart now. It's getting better. So sometimes as well, like lifting it like that can just sort of force the alcohol underneath. I'll tell you the other one what was like this. Was it the Fold 6? And that had a really, really strong adhesive layer around it. My next biggest worry is like, how am I going to stick it back down? But we are making progress. Look, we're like maybe 2/3 of the way down this first side. I imagine once we've got one side out, the other side should got a bit more leverage on it and pull up a little bit. I'm hoping anyway. I'm going to try and turn this display on. Still got a picture. It's not got any green lines on it. I can't wait to see why it's so hard. The one that I've seen somebody else tearing down, he breaks it with a Stanley knife. So yeah, this one I don't want to break. Yeah, it definitely feels like this bit's coming out a bit easier, having already taken out the other side. But it ain't sort of, sometimes once you've got one side up like that, you can just like lift it and it'll peel back, but no way, not with this. This is tough. And the bezel on it is so thin, like I don't want to stick this pick in far, because I know that it'll touch that that OLED layer and leave a black spot or something. I think it'll be a silicone adhesive layer that I put on there to replace the adhesive gasket, because there were no official adhesives available from OnePlus to do the repair, which is a shame, and will leave me sort of figuring out how best to stick it back down. I've said it already, but like we've got halfway down this side, we've got all the way down this side. You'll usually find that you can start twisting it and just peeling it off real slow, but I suppose it is going, but much slower than usual. We'll cut off the, see bits of adhesive like that, they always need to be cut off. It's so strong, that tape, or adhesive, sorry, I think it's a glue. Oh yeah, see it's going now. Just cut off them bits. I think this has been my biggest anxiety, is removing this outer display. I've been putting it off for 2 days. Luckily the guy's not in a rush. Although he might watch this video and go, oh, I knew you were stalling on something. So now I'm going to try and sort of twist a little bit and just, I imagine that the OLED cable is down this bottom. Let's see if we can see. Yeah, there's going to be a cable under there. So what I need to be careful of is not to damage any cables. It's so thin, this screen. There we go. It's nearly gone. I'm just going to be real careful. That's the one, look. Look, you can see how it's like very elastic, this adhesive. So there's a very thin layer of adhesive what runs around the outer edge, but then there's also, similar to how the Samsung displays stick down, you've got some adhesive that runs on the back of the OLED panel as well. That was quite a challenge, but we love a challenge. So I've stuck the suction cup on the back of the screen there, so that I can at least rest it up, so that I can now get under this part here, and I'm going to stick that there. Remove this single crosshead screw just here, lift that up, remove this shield, and that, I'm hoping, will allow us to remove our first component. I'll just pop that out of that one, and that's it. We're gone. That's that screen removed. Obviously, there's a bit of adhesive on it still, so what I'm going to do, let's keep it organised. Just looking at this quickly, there's a lot of screws in this, so I'm going to try my best to keep everything organised. The next job, I suppose, is going to be to remove the back cover there, but I'm also, while this is warm, I'm going to clean up this adhesive on here and make sure that it's ready for when we come back to it in a bit and stick it down. I think I'm going to cut my own custom adhesive for the back of the OLED there, and then we'll use the silicone adhesive around the edges of the display, similar to what I suppose the manufacturer's done, as close to it as possible. And I'll also try and get as much of this leftover glue off there without touching anything bad. So I'm just using a little finger rolling technique to get all the glue off there, because it is definitely glue at this point. See this area here, this is very important, and you can't really touch it because it will That's the bit what causes the green lines on the display. So I'm going to store this screen safely for reinstallation later, but that's how it comes off, just like that. Very difficult. So next up, we're going to remove this back cover. This should be a significantly easier, although I might eat my words if it's not. The first problem is that it's sort of a leather effect. I believe it's plasticky glass, similar to some of the Samsung A series or the newer Samsung S series. But I'm going to start off as we do. Yeah, it looks like it's some coated glass. It certainly feels that way. With the Dorco blade, being very careful because plastic can cut easily. But I feel as though it will be quite flexible. Although I don't want to push my luck too hard. It is stuck down hard. But we've got the pick in there now. Jesus Christ, what is it stuck down with? There we go. We're in. But it feels very similar to that. It's that same gluey stuff. Really, really tough glue to get out. Because this, that's just took me 10 minutes to get that screen off. Obviously, this is quicker. But still, anything that's been on the hot plate for as long as this has, usually just falls off. But no, not the OnePlus Fold. Or OnePlus Open, sorry. Not this one. I'm just sort of working my way around. It's a plasticky sort of adhesive. It's very a plasticky sort of back cover. It's very flexible. And it's not too difficult to remove, to be honest. I'm going to be careful around this flash because I don't know if there's a cable attached to it. I don't think that there is. But, as always, care and caution should be taken when taking down anything or tearing down anything that you've never teared down before. Sometimes you find that there will be adhesive all around the camera, which will make it a bit trickier to pull off, but it is coming. It's definitely coming. I'm lifting, I'm pulling, I'm wiggling. I'm just going to be careful now. Like I said, around the flash. It looks like the flash stays attached. Yeah, the flash is attached. There's no cables on there. But fair play to OnePlus for making the world's strongest phone adhesive. Look, you can't even peel it off. I thought Huawei made strong adhesive, but this is next level. Anyway, we are now in. We're into the phone. What I'm going to do next may surprise you. I'm going to stick that back on. It'll be easy to come off later, but what I'm going to do, I'm going to concentrate on, first of all, getting everything out of this section and putting it into the new section for the new screen. Let's first of all try our best to lift this battery out. It's still attached up there, but I just want to gauge how much heat it's going to need to get this battery out. I'm guessing there's going to be another battery in this side too. A little bit of alcohol on my suction cup might help it stick to this battery a bit better. And then I'm going to carefully lift up. Hopefully it's not. Yeah, it's coming away quite nicely actually. So that's done me a solid. I had a feeling I couldn't see any pull tabs, so that's lifted out. So now when I go over to the workbench, I don't have to bring it back onto the heat mat. We can just take it apart real easy. So let's take it over there and do this side first. So I've got a little parts tray there that I'll be storing all the screws that I remove. I've already started with the screw from the display at the bottom. And then I'm going to just show you the part real quick so that we're all on the same page and you know what I'm talking about whenever I say anything. It comes in a largish box like this, opens up, and then you've got some nice matte black bubble wrap inside. And inside here somewhere is our fold display. So you've got the full display inside there. And then of course all the stuff and guts and everything that we're going to take from this one up here and put into this one here. Let's start. The good news is we've got battery adhesives already attached. There's lots of like tape and stuff in there. Most stuff is there except of course the important one, which is the display adhesive and the back cover adhesive. But you know, you can only piss with the cock you've got is what I'm going to take away from this. And we're going to do a superb job. I'm going to start from the top and I'm going to work my way down. And you can it's optional of course, you can use the electric screwdriver, which I'll leave a link for in the description below, or you can use a manual small Phillips 000 crosshead screwdriver. Now we're going to remove the screws and place them carefully onto the little magnetic parts tray, just to keep them organized whilst we tear everything down, and so that we know where all the screws, although these screws are not very magnetic, but we'll know where we took them out from, because we're going to lay them out on the mat in a similar fashion to the way that they were removed. That's the easiest way to do it. So these screws go at the top of the mat, and the bottom screws down here are going to go at the bottom of the mat. Does that make pretty clear sense? See how they're not sticking? They're just not very magnetic. Next up, there's going to be, this is a speaker. Underneath this thing here, I imagine there's going to be some little polystyrene balls. So we're going to be very careful not to let them end up everywhere. But I'm going to try and get underneath this little speaker thing somewhere. Make sure I've not missed any screws. That's a good point there. There we go. So that's removed. Like I say, this is almost like a plug to stop all the filling. Battery is next, of course. Use a plastic tool to disconnect the battery. You've got some nice blue gasket, and I'm also going to disconnect this guy here, which should allow us now to pop the rest of the battery out, because we already took it out and made a good start at it earlier, didn't we? Now you see these guys here on our new display, they're not stuck down, so they're sort of set up like that. So I don't know why, but it just makes it, they've only done half a job. Now, I know that everything on this side is already attached in the new display, but we've got a small sort of board here, which I'm going to guess controls the camera. I don't know if this guy needs to come out with us, so I'm going to take it with us. Oh no, that's attached on the new display, so it's just a case of clipping it on. So I'm going to pop that off there and not worry about this guy. I can't see any more FPC connectors, so I'm just going to carefully pry underneath this guy until it looks like it's come out. Now, there's a small cable here that isn't on my new display. We're playing spot the difference with these screens, so I'm just looking at every area. So this guy here, it looks like it's some kind of Hall sensor or magnetic sensor. There is a single crosshead screw holding that down, and we're going to lift up. I'm going to take it away from here, disconnect it, and then maybe get underneath here. Yes, that's a little cover. And yeah, there's definitely a little sensor in there that we need to get out. How do you come out? I don't want to lift it. Oh, we can lift at the cable carefully. So that's removed now. And finally, we've got the front camera, which the gaskets come out for. How do we pop this front camera out? I think we'll go Samsung method, which is to get a blade and pry underneath it, I suppose. Yeah, there we go. That's come out quite nicely, and not too difficult either. So that's the front camera removed, just with a little metal blade underneath this side here. I can't see any more components that need to be removed here, so I'm going to move down to the bottom now, where there is a few more of those crosshead screws that we're going to remove. Starting off, yeah, we'll start off in this corner here. That's a different screw to the rest of them, a little black one. This one's different too. Maybe they're all little black ones in this bottom area. The little warranty stickers are removed. Now that OnePlus know that I've been in this phone. Now we've got another one just here. And I think, just like, let me bring you into the picture, into the bigger picture. When I'm holding these up, look, it looks like everything's already across. It's just these metal shields that we need to move. So I'm not sure what's underneath this. We'll soon find out though. So let's find out. So more plastic covers. Okay, plastic cover, disconnect. Yep, disconnect. Yep, and then that's it. So it's just a case of, you know what, this side, easy peasy. I think that's everything that I need to do on that side. I just need this guy here, this little subboard, whatever it is. It's already connected to my new display. By the way, I will tell you at the end how much this cost, and you're going to be shocked. This is the most expensive repair that I've ever done. Let's put it that way. Right, let's connect this guy. We're going to go from bottom to top of these. Makes sense. It's the way, it's the reverse order of what I've just done. I am now going to peel up this one here. And what I'm going to do first, I'm going to connect it. So I'm going to connect it here. And then what I like to do with these is usually get something like that, just to, yeah, not like that. That was awkward. And we'll push down a little bit. We just want to try and tuck it away. So tuck it away there, and then into there, because it's going to stick straight away down to that. We don't want it to stick where it doesn't want to stick. And that's it. That's it. You need to bend these cables in, and they need to be manipulated slightly so that they stick like it should do from factory. I'm going to be a little bit more careful with this internal display. We know what happens if you accidentally rest it on something and it'll get damaged. So I'm just going to keep it on this little bit of bubble wrap, because I am sometimes a little bit careless. Not all the time, but just sometimes. Next, we're going to go back with this little plastic cover, and then we've got all those little black screws that hold it down. And I'm going to go in with the manual screwdriver this time. I'm not sure why, it was just the first one that I picked up. I know I make jokes and stuff, and probably discredit myself a lot and probably put myself down, but I'm not actually bad at fixing stuff. And the person who sent me this chose the right guy for the job, I believe. Sometimes, some of you might disagree with me, some of you probably hate me. Some of you probably get fed up of listening to me talk rubbish while I repair stuff. I don't care, because this bottom section is done. There's just that one there and that connector, which, if you remember, that's where the display, the outer display goes. So I'll leave that for now. Moving back up to the top now, we're gonna peel off this bit of masking tape, chuck these in the bin, because I get fed up at the end of a job. I've got piles and piles of this little tape all over the place. I've been trying to be better, but you know, we try and keep things tidy. It doesn't work out that way all the time, does it? So we've got some more adhesive under there and there, but first we're going to get this thing all prepped up. This goes over the top, so I'm going to pull it out of the way. We've got that weird little sensor. Let's concentrate on that. I'm going to peel off that, chuck that in the bin, like I just said. Like this top board thing, it's bothering me. I hate it when you've got connectors on both sides. It winds me up. But I'm going to connect the camera. I reckon that we probably just accidentally removed the camera as we were doing it. And then I'm going to lay that down. Sorry, you can't see. I'm going to lay it up the top. Just like that. Because I'm concentrating on this sensor first, I'm going to slide it in. I'm going to get it into where it belongs. It's got some grounding pins on it. I'm just going to be careful with this guy. It seems really sensitive or fragile. And then we've got that one thing holding it down, and then there was one screw, weren't there? But yeah, it's definitely a bit tricky to get that in. I'm going to just look at it under the microscope and push it in properly. I think I'm just being really delicate with it. My eyesight's absolutely terrible, so I was just being a little bit too scared of it. But all I needed to do was just push it down a little bit because it wasn't sat in quite right. So I've pushed it down properly now, and this other shield should sit in there quite comfortably, quite snug, and it's in. We'll get this little screw. Oh my God, he's done it again. He's re-secured a screw. Amazing. So next we got this guy. Why is that not sat properly? There we go. That's sat in where it should sit now. Push it down, and now we can reconnect that. That camera's not sat in properly, look. So I'm just gonna move it, manipulate it, shake it around a bit until it does sit flat, because that's gonna cause problems later. These are all the things that we need to be looking out for. Because I've never done this before, it's more, like I said, it's more of a commentary on what I'm actually doing. And it will be good to, if I just brain out loud, does that make sense? Is that a word? If I brain out loud, then you'll know what I'm thinking when I'm doing a repair like this. Because at the end of the day, I'm quite experienced, and some of you who are watching this are not as experienced as me. So that's what I'm sharing here. And same again, look at that. Like, you couldn't just stick a battery on there. I've plugged it in, done what I needed to do, but I couldn't just push that down and hope for the best that it sits properly. Instead, we're gonna disconnect it. We're gonna make sure that it sits nice and flush up here. Look, push it, and then it's gonna sit exactly where we want it to on there. You can put a little bit of pressure on that bit there, but there's a bit more adhesive there. I'm not gonna put a lot of pressure on that yet, because I want to make sure that it connects and it sits in properly. So we're just gonna spend a minute. There's no rush. There's not a race. You don't get a medal if you do it first. I've come in when we've got no customers, just so I've got plenty of time. It's actually 7 o'clock in the morning. And I've got loads of time. Nobody's going to bother me. Nobody's going to interrupt me. I've got lots of time. So the same goes if you're into repair and you want some peace and quiet, you're going to have to do it at a time what's peaceful and quiet. You can't start doing a job what you've never done before at your busiest time, lunchtime, when everybody's in. So that's it. This is the top half almost assembled. We've just got the battery. Look, what I'm going to do with this battery, I'll do it to them all. When you pull these out, you end up with these folds and these ripples. It don't look too pretty. If you use the blue plastic pick or guitar pick, whatever you use, don't use a metal tool. Only tools use metal tools. Play with batteries. But just to iron out any of those little ripples, look, get them out of the way. Bring your screen back, and you can peel that off, peel that off, and this is just battery adhesive. Look. I'm glad it's got a battery adhesive on it. I'm not bothered. I keep talking about the adhesive around the edges of the display. I'm not even bothered about that. Not too bothered anyway. Sit it down, apply a bit of pressure, but not too much pressure, because under here is the display, of course. Reconnect it. That's it now. Reconnect that. Reconnect it. And I know what some of you might say. Why are you reconnecting battery before you're finished? Well, at the end of the day, these are OLED displays and they're not backlight driven. The chances of me short circuiting something is very, very slim. If I practice good, safe repair practices, so not using metal tools to disconnect things and things like that, then we're going to be safe and it's going to be okay. But that was a good first half of this repair, I'd say. I enjoyed it. It's something new, it's exciting, and it wasn't too difficult. There was just the removing of the screen. That was definitely scary, squeaky bum time. I might or might not have gone for a poo after I'd done that. Cut that bit. Anyway, just make sure everything sits flat and there's nothing sticking out, because there's nothing worse than sticking a screen on there only to find out that there's a grounding pin that you've not pushed in properly and it's just popped the back of the OLED display. But look, I'm very happy that we've done the first half of this job. I'm going to put this down to one side now so that we can do the second half, which is of course hidden under these camera bits. Let's move the plastic crap. I don't know if anybody's noticed how much tidier my workspace is nowadays. I've had a little problem and a slight crisis that led to a few nightmares and stuff. Right, I'm just going to lift this back up, by the way. It should come up pretty easy because we've had it off already. But yeah, I've had a little crisis. It led to a few sleepless nights. And it was basically me worrying about how dirty the shop was. I'll explain it maybe another day. Maybe we'll do a clinic episode where I talk about why I've not been sleeping too good. Right, with this back cover, I'm going to go and put it on the hot plate, and I'm just going to let it sit on there because we need to get all that glue off it. And it is glue, by the way. Anyway, it's led to me being a lot cleaner in the workplace. That's the best way to say it. With these cameras, I am going to do what we like to do, and I'm just going to put a little bit of Captain tape on each of the cameras just to keep them protected from dust, dirt, scratches, fingers, everything. It's best to do that because otherwise you put it all back together and you're like, oh, well, there's a big smear under that camera and it looks rubbish. You've done a great job on my screen, but you've broke my camera. Something along them lines. Now, what I'm noticing immediately is there's a lot of screws here. Shall we start from the bottom or shall we start from the top? I think all these screws, looking at the other part, all these screws need to come out. You know what? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take out every screw that I can see. And then we'll take it from there. Because I'm going to start here. Random place to start. Right in the middle. That's the same as that, I'm guessing. Very similar, yes. I'm going to remagnetize. These screws are really not magnetic. And yeah, we'll just work through all these. We've got the charging port down the bottom. Another speaker. I think there's 3 speakers on this one. It gives it that real nice spatial audio. When I was a kid, we used to call it surround sound. But I think Apple coined it spatial audio, and it's sort of stuck, hasn't it? It's not really surround sound because it's still in front of you, in front of your face. So all the screws that I've just took out there were all the same size. This screw here is already installed on my new display, same as this cable here. So I'm going to move further up, and we're going to take out more screws. Which, looking at the heads on them, it's going to be the same size. No big problem. That screw there is or isn't, I think it is already installed. So I'm just glancing where my camera is. You can't see it, but I can see the new display, and I'm sort of doing that spot the difference thing that we like to do when we're doing this kind of repair. When they don't come out, we get the tweezers out. Now, yeah, all these screws are the same. They're all the same. But these ones here don't look the same. So there's 6 in the middle of the camera that are some, I think they're really long. I reckon they're going to be really long ones. They go, yeah, as we suspected, very long ones that go right through. I'm going to keep them separate. Keep them separated from the rest of them. And it's sort of the 6 that go through. Here's a cool and interesting fact. The reason that I started recording myself repairing stuff is because I often forget where screws go. So making a video recording of it, when I was putting it back together, I could very easily scrub through and find any parts and where I've put the parts, because my memory is so bad. So there you go. Nice little bit of information as I was doing the screwing or unscrewing of this one. So this, I'm just going to be so careful with what I'm pulling. The video that I saw, the jerry rig video, that guy goes like a maniac at it. Now, he gets paid a lot of money to do that. I don't get paid a lot of money to do this. I'm hoping that a lot of you guys watch this video, so then I might make some money actually doing this repair. But the harsh reality of it is that there's not a lot of money in this job. Some of you probably think that I live some rock star lifestyle. I don't. I pay all my staff a good bit of money to do what they do, and they do a brilliant job for me. But the reality of it is that I'm here to keep the lights on. Anyway, I did end up taking this screw out. Look, I'd missed that one. I thought I'd missed one there, but it was just loose and not removed properly. But that came out a lot easier than Jerry Rig Everything made it look, because he just ripped it off. So yeah, it comes off quite easily, that bit. Now this has got to be the main board, the main event. I'm hoping that I know one thing that I forgot. I always forget it. Answer me this. Does everybody forget the SIM tray? Come on. Tell me the truth. Do you instantly remember to pop the SIM tray out? Because I do not. I never, ever remember the SIM tray. I've had a few close calls where I've nearly ripped the motherboard out because the SIM tray's there. But luckily, I've always remembered just in the right moment. I'm just adding some alcohol around this. Sorry, I'm talking a lot too much about stuff what isn't important. but let's keep it on point about this repair. Plastic tools to disconnect things, guys, come on. Keep it real. Disconnect all the flex cables that you can see. I'm not going to do, I say all the flex cables, I'm not going to do these cameras because I'm hoping that it all comes out as one main board. So disconnect these display, or I don't know what we call these. Basically, these cables here start here, go through the fold, and then connect to the little subboards what are outside. So they're the main connectors there. They're the cables what fail on the Samsung displays, you know, like where you get this no Wi-Fi issue or no service issue. There's a little screw up the top here that I'm just going to take out and make sure I make a mental note of that I've removed it. I've also got these little plastic bits here. I think it's probably for the best that I disconnect this little white cable. I'm going to use the tweezers to do that. I'm going to break it otherwise. Disconnect that one and the blue one. I'm going to let them sort of just hold back there. The black one, however, seems to go underneath. So that's going to be a tricky little challenge to get out. And let's have a look at how well this board's stuck down. Is it screwed down anywhere? Or is it glued down? What's going on? I think it's like taped down. There's no screws holding this in. But I'm just being really careful because it's a funny shaped board too. I've got it lent up and I've got the board, the spudger underneath it. Look. That's the one, look. It's just about gone. Alright, okay. Bit of tape on the back of this camera. That's the same. Get it out. Now what's holding it in now? Nothing. Sweet FA, apart from that black cable. So, that, I suppose, is how you... Can I say that's how you remove that? Right, this bit of tape here, there's a new bit of tape. We're safe. There's a new bit of tape on that one as well, but I'll have a look at that in a second. There's another bloody camera there. How many cameras are in this phone? 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there was another one on the outside. Right, I'm going to leave that all like that. I think that I don't know if I disconnected this little guy here, but it's disconnected itself, luckily, and not done any damage. So if you notice that, well done. I didn't. Relax and compose myself. Lift that up. Put it somewhere safe. Disconnect this flex cable. And then what else we got here? I reckon there's some plastic. We got plastic. And then, yeah, that's the other side. Look, that's the other side of that black cable. But it goes underneath everything. So we're going to pop this speaker out. I am going to use metal tweezers to get that because they're usually awkward. But it weren't that bad. We've got the charging port as well. That runs, looking at this, underneath that small battery. Now I know for sure that this battery is stuck down with some high level adhesive. I've seen a bald guy in America, use some metal prying tools and then moaned about the risk of fire. I know he does it to wind people up, but I saw him. I need to use this battery. I don't have spares, so I'm prying very carefully. You see, I'm not bending the battery. I'm just being very, very careful. I'm also listening. I can hear the adhesive like. And like every little bit of alcohol that goes in there is just breaking it down, breaking that adhesive down. And then now that I've got enough, I can probably go in with this one and just help it along until, there we go, magic. That is removed. So that's that one out. Oh, we do need this cable here. So this guy needs to be removed too. Sorry, I'm not doing a great job of talking you through what I'm doing. I've removed the battery. I definitely talked you through that part. But now I need to get this cable because this guy, that's not attached. There's a lot. This is the like main board area and there's a lot going on with this. With this little cable here, I am carefully, very carefully detaching, peeling up, getting some alcohol under it, and then that is removed and loosened like that. So I'm going to do the same thing again. Oh, hang on. We need to be careful. Look, like this little board here is attached to this cable. Good job we didn't go yanking at that, isn't it? So now that I've got the battery out, that comes out, but it's all attached. Look, it's bloody attached to the charge port cable. So same again, nice and careful, using the alcohol to help us along. Hopefully we should be able to lift this USB-C cable, and I think it's a bit dirty. It's a little dirty. That's okay, it's not too dirty, but it's out. That's the main thing, we've got it out. So we've just got that little black cable, which is probably the last thing that I need to remove. But just while I'm here, and I've got dirty stuff here, I'll just brush that off. Give it a good clean while I can. It's always a good idea. Keep everything clean. And then we just got this black cable. I think it just pops out, pops out, pops out. Don't want to pull it too hard. And now for the main event, we can lift up and get out this main board. And I think that that's everything. I think it is. We'll soon find out, I suppose, won't we? We'll know about it when there's something what I've not took out of here. You know what I mean? So yeah, let's carry on putting it back together. So we'll get the new part, the new screen, and I think first of all we're going to offer up the motherboard. So to do that, we're going to have to remove this bit of Kapton tape what's covering up these connectors. I can peel that back a little bit, and then peel back that one, peel back that one, peel back that one, and peel back that one. Don't forget that one either. So there's lots of little blue films that need to be removed, what cover up foam and adhesive and things like that. And then this guy looks like it's not sat very well, so I'm just going to make sure that that's sat exactly where it needs to be. I'm going to bring our board in. Main board straight in. Let's drop it in carefully. Make sure that the camera sits in. Everything seems to have sat nicely there. Don't we think that that was a little too easy? No, come on. We're on this. We're on this. We're in it. We've done so well so far. So, from memory, right? Yeah, okay. So, first of all, we're going to do this bottom area. The bottom area. Now that we've got that board in, there's an order in which things go. Starting off, it's going to be this guy. This needs to go in there. However, just because that's in there doesn't mean that this needs to go in just yet. So that's in, it's clipped in, it's pushed down, it's secure. I'll push it around this corner, and that's as far as I'm going to take it for now. That's because next I'm going to put this little like antenna board in. That cable was in, it looked good, and now we're going to line this one up. Yes, it's all coming together. I'm now going, so that's lined up. Now we're going to go for the charge port cable. That goes in there. Same again with these cables. Make sure that they tuck in a bit. You can see where it's going to sit because the adhesive's around it. Slide that underneath there. And make sure that this thing sits properly. And then that sits properly, and everything's lined up. Look, everything lines up nicely. That ridge is right on the ridge where it has to climb over to get in there. Everything just works as it should, which is what we want, isn't it? Next, of course, we've got some more blue peel. So I'm going to get this little flex cable sat in place. Look, it shows you MB means motherboard. That connects to MB. Connect that to motherboard. Mother, and then you can motherboard in, put that. And yeah, it's all sat looking good. Now, the bit what I was a bit confused about was, right, that black cable has to go under there. that has to go in there. This has to go under here. Can you see why I was getting confused? Does my confusion make sense? That's paradoxical. And I think that's it. I think we've lined it all up, made it look right. That connects to there. We've done it. We've only gone and done it and made it look like it was born there. I think that with that, I'm bloody chuffed that we've halfway through putting this back together. That's the hardest bit done with, isn't it, really? Like the rest of it were just screws and plug and plays. But that were confusing. I'm going to get all these screws in the bottom here. Get them screwed in. Like I said before, these screws aren't very magnetic, so good luck with that. But this is really starting to come together now. I've already expressed how sort of worried I was about doing this job. I don't know, you know, sometimes these just occasions get the better of you. I think that's what it comes down to, doesn't it? And yeah, I was just like fretting and going through various scenarios in my head. But the reality of it is that we took our time. We've been patient with it. And it has rewarded us with a satisfactory repair. So, that's that part all put back together. I'm just looking at these little coaxial cables here. They're fairly self-explanatory because there's no confusion. The blue one won't reach the longest stretch. So that one goes in there. The white one, sorry. And that's tucks away there. And we'll get the blue one tucked in. The easiest way to do these is to get them as close as possible with the tweezers. And then push down in the centre of them. They're always awkward. So that has gone in, I believe. That sits there. It's just same again, like, you just got to make sure that nothing sits too high up. And I think that, yeah, they don't cross over. That pushes down there, right into that little gap. Then it means that the blue one can sit into that one, just on top of everything. There's just enough room for it to go in. That's all it needs to be. Now, we've got one more little connector to reconnect just here. All the cameras are still connected, which is good. And then we've got those important cables I was talking about before. Make sure that they're carefully reconnected. Very important job. Just with this battery, I'll move everything out of the way. We'll do the same again. Just iron out any ripples or creases that are in the battery. And yeah, it's all coming together. So peeling off this adhesive layer. And then sticking it down, I suppose. Oh, hang on. A little bit of blue film, look what I missed. I'll get that off. Stick it in, drop it down, reconnect it. E presto. Magic little job. Then we've got this little plastic cover which sits on top of all these. And there's 2 screws securing that down. Same again, just make sure that it's flush. It looks good. It doesn't look out of place. Everything will... When there's something wrong, you can usually see it. Maybe it takes a bit of experience to get to that point, but just look out for anything that looks untoward. Because if it looks untoward, it probably is. Everything in these phones fit together. So now just make sure, like, see the speaker. Just make sure you've not got... There's a magnet inside this speaker here. And if you have a screw stuck to that, and then you push it down there, you see that little... This is what made me think about it. That's been there since the start. It's not because I've put anything on that, but that could easily be a screw, and it'll break the OLED panel very easily. So what I'm saying is just be careful. Just making sure I've not missed any screws. Yes, there was one screw for the main board, wasn't there? There was one screw that went through the board, and it was just here. so don't forget that one. Now we can go on with this plastic cover. And I think the first 6 screws will be, I think the 6, yeah, it's those really long ones that went all the way through up here. So I'll get all those in place, get them out of my way. I can see them on my desk and they're bugging me because I know that one's going to end up in between in the folding screen. No, it's not. Those days are over. Now we're doing things the right way. So that's in, that's reconnected. There's one very small screw just next to the flash area up here, look. Make sure that's reconnected. So going back to when I said if it doesn't look right, it's probably not right. You see how that's like kicking out? We just need to give it a little push and a squeeze to get the plastic clips in. Zoop, 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 and get the screws in. I'm really excited to get this job finished now because after this, I am going to go and pick up my new bicycle. This is, I'm talking 7 o'clock Saturday morning that I'm coming in, sat doing this repair. A, because I will wake at 5:30. My gym doesn't open until 8 AM. So I'm like, oh, what should I do now? So I'd had coffee, I'd had a bit of breakfast, light breakfast. And I was like, right, what am I going to do? So I came down to work and I started putting a shelf up, which I got as far as I could with that. I'll finish that probably on Monday. So that's done. And now I'm like, oh, well, what's next? I better do this. And this we have done. Right, I've got no screws left. I think I've got this small screw here, which it was. That's right. And just one screw left for the outside display. So I suppose the next challenge is, how the hell are we going to stick everything down? There was mention of a sticker, wasn't there? And I think that's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do. I think a good idea would be to reconnect the outside display and test that everything works. What do you reckon? Shall we do that? And then I think the best way to conclude this, because it's been put back together and it's done, really, it'll be like a little montage of an outro and me sticking it back together. I can't get this thing to stick, bloody hell. Oh, there's like a really bad gasket. So yeah, I'm thinking we'll connect this and then, all being well, we can press this button here. We've got display there. That's good. We've got display here. That's even better. All we need to do is stick it back together and make sure that everything is flat and sits right. And yeah, I'll clean up the back cover and then we'll stick it all down, I think. Yeah, it's a shame that the genuine adhesives aren't available for this, because that would have just made it a really nice final job. But I suppose if it's glued, then they're not going to make adhesives available. The glue that I'm going to be using is a automotive gasket glue, right? It's a black silicone adhesive, and it's the same thing we use to stick down Apple Watch displays, and it's the only thing that I've found is good enough for doing this job. Okay, so the internal display is on. You'll notice that there's like some writing on there, but that's just a little protective cover. I'll take that off at the very last thing, but yeah, I'm happy with this. I'm not going to fold it because I don't think you can fold it with that plastic on it. I don't like to do that, so I'll leave it like that. But yeah, that is just about job done. I'm going to, like I say, we'll do a little outro and we'll talk about it while I'm sticking it back together. So it's been a couple of days since I sat down and did that repair, and boy am I glad that I came in early on a Saturday morning and did it before any customers came in. I have done a Motorola before where we had a similar situation, and I did it sort of when we were open. and it was very difficult to sort of keep picking up and putting it down and not being able to crack on with it as much as I wanted to. So if you are taking on this repair yourself, my number one piece of advice is really take your time with this. So in the end, I kept my mouth shut while I was gluing because I was concentrating, and I do struggle to do two things at once sometimes. But I ended up using some of the glue that we use for repairing Apple Watches. I think I mentioned that previously, and then I've let it dry for the last couple of hours actually. Yeah, I'm happy with this repair, really satisfied with it. It was a nice job to do. This is all working. We've got touch, it's sat down. I'm just going to clean it up real good and proper now. That was a good job and a nice job actually. Whether I do one again, you'll have to send me a message. But I did promise to tell you how much it cost at the end of the video, and I think the part cost was, it came in at about £620, and we charged £750 with the labour included. Let me know if you think that's good value, or whether you pay that or not for the repair, because obviously it's a hell of a lot of money. But the phone itself is an expensive phone. So anyway, if you've made it this far, thanks for watching all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it. Have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.